freshwater bay reef. It was given this name because when rain falls on the island of Barbados, the fresh water filters through the natural pores in our rock, and some of it ends up out here via underground streams. You're going to see the fresh water mixing with the salt water. It has a blurry or shimmery effect, kind of like how heat looks rising off the road on a very hot day, or like a gin and tonic on the rocks. Remember, once again, the name of this coral reef is the freshwater bay reef, also known as Clark's Reef to the locals on the island. Look out for turtles, ladies and gentlemen. Look out for barracudas as well. They're one of the top predators found on the reef, and they're a silver torpedo-shaped fish with black markings on its body. Also look out for the pufferfish or the blowfish. Now they're large-headed fish tapering off to a rather small tail. Once again, those are the pufferfish or the blowfish. Now, the pufferfish are on the list of the top 10 poisonous things in the world. It is said that just 0.04 grams of its toxin can kill a human being in about 20 minutes. Ironically, this fish is also a delicacy in Japan. Over there, it is called fubu sashi, prepared by a licensed fubu chef. Not any chef, a licensed fubu chef. Now, it is said the chef himself has to take the first bite of his meal. Ladies and gentlemen, it'll be up to you to wait the 20 minutes just to see what happens. Here we are on top of our reef, ladies and gentlemen, cruising along. Now, all the creatures you would expect to find down here, all the fish, all the moray eels, the turtles, would not be here if it were not for the coral reef. The reef provides shelter and food for many of the creatures that live down here. Now what you're looking at is the structure of the reef. You've got the hard coral, which is that hard rock-like formation that you see there on the outside. Now that is not rock, it is not dead, it is hard coral. It's made from a little animal called the coral polyp. And what happens is that little animal comes down here, attaches itself to something hard, and then it begins to secrete a calcium carbonate or limestone exoskeleton around itself, forming these fantastic shapes that you're seeing. Now these shapes are generally named after what they look like. So if you look out there and you see something that looks like a human brain, that is called a brain coral. Likewise, you're going to find the boulder coral, the pencil coral, the elk horn coral, just to name a few. Now, growing on top of the hard coral is the soft coral. Those are the ones that look like plants, but they are not plants. They too are made from that little animal called the coral polyp as well. You're going to find the sea whips, the sea rods, the sea fans, and those feather duster-like structures are called feather plumes. Now, some other obvious structures you're going to see down there are the sponges. You're going to find some large ones that look like giant clam shells or oyster shells, and those are the barrel sponges. You're also going to find the green tube sponges growing in clusters. They look like green chimneys. But the most obvious of them all, the brightest of them all, are the orange encrusted sponges, those bright orange clumps on the reef. Now, the orange encrusted sponges are actually the most dangerous of the sponge species. That is because they contain some small needle-like spicules that have poison or toxin in them. Now, if you were to touch the orange encrusted sponge, you would actually inject those spicules into your body. And depending on your metabolism, that toxin could cause you anything from a mere rash or nausea to anything as severe as paralysis or a heart attack. So the general rule down here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the prettier something is, the further away you stay from it.
And that's also a good rule to take on that. That's why Sadie's all the way back there.
Oh, really? No.
Because she's pretty.
I'm waiting for it.
Pretty dangerous.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are about 200 to 300 types of fish that live on and around the reef. And as we cruise along, I'll I'll do my best to identify some of them for you and give you a little bit of information about them. Now don't just look out in mid-water for those fish. Look close to the reef as well, because most of the fish that live down here are reef fish. They like to live close to the reef. Any predators were to come around to get a quick bite, they can actually hide themselves very quickly in the cracks and crevices of the reef. Now you're going to notice a small electric bluefish with a touch of black on its back. Now that is called the blue chromite. Now these fish are not just blue on the outside, they're also blue on the inside. Even their bones and their teeth are blue. Are you going to find their brown cousins as well, small brown fish with a white forked tail, and they're the brown chromites. You're also going to notice some tiny bright yellow fish schooling just above the reef. Those are the juvenile wrasse. Now even though they're so tiny, they're extremely important because they act as the cleaners on the reef. Now the larger fish will come along, they'll actually stand very, very still or perform a little dance to let the smaller fish know that they need to be cleaned. The smaller fish will then go into the gills and even the mouth of the larger fish and remove any parasites or dead flesh from them. So they clean both the outside and the inside of those larger fish. Now, if any of the larger fish bit or ate any of those juvenile wrasse, it would leave a very distinct scent on it. When it goes to another stage to be cleaned, the other juvenile wrasse will refuse to clean it, and that larger fish could die of a parasitic infestation. So the moral of that story is, ladies and gentlemen, crime does not pay, not even down here. Alright, we're starting to get lots more fish around the submarine now, ladies and gentlemen. Some chubby blue ones that are swimming with their side or pectoral fins to look as if they're flying through the water. Those are the Creole wrasse. Some of them have yellow on their bodies, and those are the males of the species. The females are smaller and just blue. Now you may have seen the school of silver grayfish going by there on the starboard side. Now those are called the macro chad.